now we're joined by another expert guest, David Hoffmann from GlobalTQM.com. Let's see if we can get David up on the screen. There he is. Hi. Hello, David. Good morning.
Hi.
I'm not sure. Is it the morning where you are?
Tom, it's late mid afternoon for me. It's about 2:30 p.m. here.
Oh, no, not too uncivilized an hour then. But thank you for joining us anyway. So,
You're welcome.
first off, why don't you tell our viewers a bit about yourself and your company? Like, what is GlobalTQM.com, and what does it do, or what happens there?
Sure. Tom, so just a bit of background. I was living in Hong Kong and China for the last 19 years. I recently left and relocated to Australia. Our offices are in Shenzhen. What we do is we help people source and develop products. So the whole idea is, a lot of people can't have their own team on the ground in China, or don't have that experience and expertise in dealing with Chinese manufacturers, or they struggle with technical issues, quality issues, compliance issues, or just communications. So we basically give people a team on the ground and help them handle a lot of the legwork for them on the ground. I think one of our core differences to buying agents or things like that is that we help the people find the manufacturers and build their own direct relationship with the manufacturers, which is really something we believe strongly in.
All right, awesome. And so someone can kind of come to you and say, I want to get hold of this kind of product or have this kind of thing made, and you're able to take it from something as basic as that and kind of fill in the gaps for them.
100%. Some people have got a general idea. Some people want to enter a new industry and say, I need manufacturers in the space, but we need to do all the homework and groundwork to see if it's feasible. Others know exactly the product idea they have in mind, and they want to find a Chinese manufacturer, and they really want to just shortcut that whole learning curve, and if somebody trusted on the ground that can help them with that.
No, fantastic. So you're the perfect person to ask about this kind of thing. Let's start with then, the recent past. I guess the headline news in terms of what's been happening over the past year or so is fairly well known. But
Yes.
What are some of maybe the sourcing and production related events that you've seen unfolding in China and connected places that maybe
Yes.
people don't know about already?
Well, it's really interesting. I get asked this a lot, and I think what we're finding, throughout COVID, it became increasingly difficult to get supply out of China. Not just China, to be fair, to many places it became harder to get supply out of, and production lead times just became a lot longer. As shipping costs, freight costs, all just went exponentially high. If you could even get space and availability, without being able to travel to trade shows, it had its share of problems. I guess it just made people have to learn to work online and build much better relationships with suppliers. You have to start relying and depending on them, which is sometimes quite a scary challenge for people. But yeah.
All right. And how do you see the sourcing landscape shaping up for this year ahead? I guess the year of the rabbit we just entered. Like, what are some of maybe the continuing trends or any kind of things that are going to change quite soon that you think are important to know about or important to react to?
Well, I think probably one of the biggest things right now is obviously with China and opening up and people being able to travel. I think that there's going to be this huge influx already. We're feeling with people coming to China, wanting to see their manufacturers face to face. Trade shows, which is a huge, I'm a big supporter of trade shows, and I think people being able to finally come to trade shows and do that face to face business, I think that's going to be a game changer. I think what I think is a misnomer is a lot of people ask me, oh, should I be sourcing products outside of China now and moving to other countries like Vietnam, India? And the short answer is I think it depends a lot on the size of the company. There's a lot of small sellers on Amazon or small e-commerce stores that don't really have the volume or the scale to go diversify their whole supply chain. So I think there's still a huge reliance on China. I think that's really a bit of a misnomer. I think some of the big manufacturers of the world, the Apples, the Samsungs, yes, they spread out their supply chain risk. but I think people kind of get confused about at what level you want to go about those things.
Yeah, that's right. If you can just go and buy a factory in in Vietnam or something, that you're sort of operating in a different, playing a different game, I suppose, to
Yeah.
the smaller buyers. Yeah, that's for sure.
And
So I
of
suppose
course, just to
ironic.
magically, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was. It seems ironic that in some ways the big changes, especially for China for this coming year, are that things are getting back to like they used to be in the old days. With like ships leaving harbors and being able to travel to inspect factories or go to trade shows and so on. But sorry,
Exactly.
please go on. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say is, it's even just one thing's moving the factory. The other thing is it's just that expertise of the local people that work in the factories and the training. That takes years. And I actually think there's a lot more opportunity now in China because, COVID, with whether for the better or for worse, I think a lot of the poor manufacturers struggled, have closed down. I think the guys who have survived are probably in a really much better, stronger situation now to actually service customers. Everyone's had to innovate and learn.
Sure thing. Yeah, I mean, based on that though, we've got this reopening of Chinese manufacturing becoming more available. These presumably leaner, meaner operations that have survived through these last couple 3 years, I suppose. What should you be doing if you're a buyer to respond to that? Like right now, what should you be doing right now, or I guess what should you be planning to do in the coming months to take advantage of that as things develop?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think a few things. I think number one, you should hop on a plane and go visit your suppliers and just really solidify that relationship. Be hands-on with them to see where new opportunities are. I think that's a real lost opportunity, and I think that'll serve well. I also think that through this, people have learned what it's like to cope with business when you can't get supply and you've got delayed shipments. So I think take this opportunity now to learn from that and be super proactive. Order in advance, make sure you got enough inventory, don't wait till the last minute, and just be really super proactive. Some people say we're heading into a recession, but I still think if you've got inventory to sell, you'll sell it. If you don't have inventory, you'll never do any revenue.
Yeah, I think we've all learned the lesson that a plan based on as long as everything goes fine, it'll be fine isn't necessarily the best idea. As we discussed, the thing is, I think theoretically everybody knew that before, but it took a big demonstration to sort of wean ourselves away. And of course, just-in-time fulfillment is still going to have a place, right? But I suppose
Of
you
course it
need
is.
a backup plan, right?
You need a backup plan, and there really is. I think what people sometimes miss sight of is that just like we're looking for the best manufacturers are looking for the best customers too. So that's why I say take that time to work with them, build that relationship, support them, because when you need supply, I've got a lot of friends in the industry that they can't ship enough containers. They just can't. Their suppliers have gone and said, look, I'm going to allocate X amount to my top 10 customers just because I want to take care of all of them. So, it's not just I'm the customer, I should get what I want situation anymore.
Yeah, that's right. When we talk to suppliers, they often do make the point that when you're interviewing and vetting them, they're doing the same right back to you. They're going and looking up your website, they're sort of finding out about you, and when they meet you, that's important too.
Yeah, I get that all the time from people saying, "Oh, the supplier's not coming back to me," or they stopped responding. And the first question is like, "Forward me all the correspondence." And then after a while, you start reading like, "Do you know how busy they are? Do you know how many customers they've got like asking all these annoying questions as well?" Sometimes you have to just kind of step it up and make them want to work with you, and own some of the responsibility.
Yeah, and on that subject of like flying over and meeting up, would you recommend doing that? Is it worth doing even if you don't have a particular thing to ask them about? You're not looking for a new product, you just want more of the old stuff. Is it still worth kind of going to meet suppliers just to say hi, essentially, or do you need kind of what's the threshold for it being worthwhile?
I can tell you, Tom, in my last 25, 30 years sourcing products in China, there's never been a face-to-face meeting where something interesting has not come out of that conversation just by being in person. Whether they've got a new idea, whether through discussion something comes up, it's always worth it.
All right, fantastic. And in terms of, well, actually, although we're saying go meet face to face, in terms of online sort of sourcing or communicating without being present, like what's the best practice now for like deciding when to, for example, do a Zoom meeting instead of an email or doing a call, that kind of thing, would you say?
Yeah, I try to encourage people to hop on a Zoom meeting as soon as possible rather than waiting. I think that communication and interaction with people face to face makes a real difference. I also encourage people to, try get a tour of the factory or some photos from the factory and some background information on not just like background information, how long they've been open, but actual real pictures of their production line and their facilities. Even if they do a video call walkthrough, I think that just tells a thousand things. And then the follow up by email it's just normally a lot faster and smoother. Presumably people are using WeChat because that's the best way to do it.
I suppose learn how to use WeChat if you want to do that.
Master WeChat. Yeah, your productivity levels will 10x.
Yeah, you raise a really great point as well. Actually, when you ask people to sort of send photos or videos or do a kind of live call to show where they work, a lot of the time people are very happy that you're interested. Like, let alone because they're proving that their factory is of a given capacity. People are often, especially manufacturers, they're quite delighted that you're interested in like how they, I don't know, stamp a particular part to put into a motorbike or whatever it is you're sourcing.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, you're right. Yeah, right, Tom, you're actually spot on. And like I find people say to me often like, oh, can you send people to the factory and do a mini audit and check them out? And I always go, I can, of course, that costs money. But I said, did you know that like if you spoke to them and the boss, you could probably get 80% of that done with the right questions? Because like you said, Tom, when they're super passionate about their factory and their production line, they want to tell you about it. You say, oh, how do you check this for quality? How do you check that for quality? And that's why I say those conversations are really good, because you learn from them. And if you've got guys, factories that are telling you all these answers with this passion, you go, oh, they know their stuff. If you've got guys that, oh, I don't know, I'll check, I'll come back to you, you start thinking,
Yeah, so a bit of a warning. Well, to be fair, it might not always be a warning sign. It might be you're just talking to the sales guy who genuinely doesn't know that. But yeah,
correct. And that's why it is a process.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's fantastic. Those are some great advice and a relatively sunny outlook for China sourcing by the sounds of it. Do you think it's going to be kind of? What's the overall outlook for exports from China in this year? Is it sort of back to or even kind of exceeding the previous levels of growth, or are we kind of looking at maybe a more modest chugging along kind of situation?
It's a bit hard to say now. A lot of people are predicting a recession, so some people might be scared on inventory. A lot of the people I know are stocking up as much as they can because they just said, even if I don't sell it all this year, I'll sell it next year. We had such supply constraints.
Sure.
But it does depend on your situation. I'm personally quite optimistic. I don't. There's a lot of this production in China. I don't see how it can be moved. I think there's a lot more online resellers now that are doing exceptionally well. I think it's going to be positive.
No, fantastic. Okay, David. Now, if the viewers would like to get in touch with you and ask about your services, or I don't know, just chat, how do they do that?
Yeah, it's super easy. Just go to our website. It's globaltqm.com, or they can email support@globaltqm. But on our website, there's a schedule a discovery call, and they can literally just click that. We do a free call. They can chat to me. They don't have to buy any services. Happy to just talk through their projects, their problems. We started this whole division of our business just to help people that had small problems that we could help them solve. So, happy to talk to anyone.
Excellent. David, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, Tom. Thank you very much for having me.